Hello, once again, folks, to another episode of I Ruined It, the art series where I take some of your favorite childhood things and I ruin them. In today's episode, we're going to be working on Garfield. So, without further ado, let's see how it goes.
Alrighty, folks. So today we're going to be doing, as I mentioned in the intro, Garfield. Uh, I know this probably isn't for every single person, but frankly, Garfield has kind of just become a generational thing overall. My mom remembers seeing Garfield stuff when she was growing up. I remember reading the comics and then subsequently watching the movies. They even came out with a new movie, 2024. Like, Garfield has just generationally been an icon in, at the very least, American media. Geez, even to the point of having those grotesque eldritch abominations. And interestingly enough, those eldritch abominations were the reason I started this entire art series. Yeah, just kind of funny how things tend to end up going full circle, don't they? That being said, I was having a lot of trouble trying to get the symmetry down here on this drawing, so you'll see in a moment. I opted for something a little bit generally close so that I could get the idea wrapped around in my brain before, as you'll see, I copied the one side and then just kind of mirrored it over. But yeah, no. Speaking back to it, yeah, Garfield, made by Jim Davis. For those of you that somehow don't know, it was a weekly comic strip that was found in newspapers around the country, starring the titular character Garfield, his owner John Arbuckle. Eventually, more additions in the form of Liz the veterinarian, Woody the dog, and regaled the tales of this Monday-hating, lasagna-eating fat cat. I don't know really what else there really is to say about it. Between so many decades of merchandise, between Garfield plush and telephones and hard action figures, the media legacy between the comics, the multiple television shows, the multiple movies, Garfield in some way, shape, or form is probably a part of everyone's childhood. To find a way to ruin it in a way that he hasn't already. So, but we'll keep to the surprise as to how that happens for now. More or less, though, this is a fairly straightforward one. I mean, I drew a version of Garfield. We're going through and we're adding those kind of tiger stripes around between his belly, his neck roll, and his cheeks. Now I'm just kind of going through and erasing the lines that no longer need to be there because they would be covered up by the hands above/front of his face. Even the coloring was pretty straightforward. It's the ease of syndicated comic book characters or cartoon characters. Even a lot of times they have just a general color palette to make them easier for print. So Garfield It has a color palette including blacks and whites of 6 colors. Between the black outline, the whites of the eyes, the pink of the nose, yellow of the upper lip, orange of the majority of the body, and then this kind of crimson, almost burgundy color for the tongue, which doesn't get seen all that often, considering it's a cat. Cat is kind of expressing it as in the form of thoughts. At least in the comics. In the television show Garfield. Or not television show, in the movie, rather. The live action one. Garfield just flat out opens his mouth and talks, and it's almost outlandish. Outlandish just how uncanny that is to look at. But for now, we're going to go through and we're going to get everything cleaned up, clear up some of those overhanging oranges from the outer body and the areas of the body that I am not going to be directly painting over with a different color. While we're doing that, I suppose I might as well get into the personal history that I tend to do with these videos. So, for the most part, my family was more... I grew up reading a lot of these, like, collections of Sunday comics. So, like, Heathcliff, and my aunt was, I believe still is, a massive Calvin and Hobbes fan. It wasn't until we had moved into this one particular house when I was young, like, that we even had collections of the Garfield comics, and from there I kind of just read what we ended up finding from the previous owners, left in the basement, and I stayed on a roll with it. I then went to the local library and picked up any of the ones that I hadn't previously read. If they didn't have it at the local library, chances are we had it in my school's library. And I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I really did appreciate having that accessibility growing up, especially since I know not so many kids did. Like, I even remember having manga in my elementary school library, which was nuts. And honestly, probably was the key thing that got me started up on some of my love of different mixed medias. But I digress. I could go on for the longest time about how much I love mixed media and everything like that. What we're doing now is we're making our Garfield a not so subtle that it's a floor backdrop. Realizing after the fact that I kind of forgot to fill in the black for the interior of the ear spikes, so my bad. But honestly, I'm not sure how many of you would have directly noticed without me mentioning it, so leave it in the comments down below if you caught that before I did. Continuing forward though, we're gonna just add a nice little throw rug, like a little area thing, kind of help break up some of that singular colored space. It's funny enough, just reusing the same color that the wall is. When I went through and I duplicated the layers to create a bow pattern to it by just changing one of the layers to a slightly different shade. And next up is going to be the part where I showcase how this is being ruined. So while I'm doing that, I'll read you guys this outro here. Thank you all so very much for watching. I've really appreciated all the support over the better part of the last year. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you want to see more, subscribe. Anytime, folks.